The Second Plenary Council of the Philippines in 1991 boldly challenged the Philippine Catholic Church to be a community of disciples and truly a church of the poor.
PCP2 confronted the shadows of Philippine society as well as the failures of the church.
When we looked at the Philippine situation, what characteristics did we see in the Philippine situation? There was widespread poverty and great suffering engendered by that poverty. And then there were great and many divisions in Philippine society. We reflected and then came up with, so far as I know, the first explicit and most clear statement of the vision and mission of the church in the Philippines. That vision of a church renewed was the vision of a church as a community of Christ's disciples and a church of the poor. And this was what God wanted us to build or to continue building in the Philippines.
Thus, the Catholic Church, through the National Secretariat for Social Action, served as the voice of the poor and the oppressed. From then on, NASSA has become the voice of the voiceless, the defender of the defenseless, doing works rooted in love, faith, truth, justice, freedom, and peace. It all began in the 1960s at the time of the Great Change initiated by the Second Vatican Council. The initial idea was to create a Commission on Social Action, a resolution passed during the Priests Institute for Social Action or PISA conference in Hong Kong. In January 1966, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines adopted the PISA resolution and formally founded the Episcopal Commission on Social Action, giving birth to what is now known as the National Secretariat for Social Action, or NASSA. At first, NASSA only had 3 people on board, with Bishop Julio Labayan as the founding bishop.
Even as a young priest when I came from Rome, and I've been hearing about the good things that NASSA has been doing, especially in assisting so many dioceses in its advocacy towards the poor, especially during disaster times. And of course, our own Carmelite Bishop Labayan has been, I think, a chairman of NASSA.
NASSA's first task was to promote the social action program to the bishops by appointing a social action director in every diocese. In no time, diocesan social action centers or DSACs were set up. Now, there are 85 DSACs spread all over the country. Regional secretariats for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao were also established to coordinate the activities of the DSACs. The Catholic Relief Services was the first to fund NASSA's activities, while other donors eventually followed. In 1969, the function Justice and Peace was attached to NASSA and all the DSACs. The additional role was very timely and relevant, especially at the height of martial law when the frequency of human rights violations increased. Social transformation was the call of the time. That is why NASSA was at the forefront in defending workers' right to strike.
Sa panahon ng batas militar, higit na kinakailangan na ang simbahan ay magbigay ng tunay na pagtataya at ganoon din ng matibay na paninindigan sa harap ng mga human rights abuses at sa harap ng mga pang-aaping nangyayari sa lipunan. At ang NASSA ay napakalaki ng naging papel sa pagkakataong ito dahil ginamit natin ang ating makapropetang papel, ginampanan natin ito upang magsalita laban sa diktadura. At tayo din ang naging tagakupkup sa ating simbahan ng mga taong wala nang masulingan dahil sa nangyayaring pang-aapi. At ang simbahan ay hindi nanatiling bingi, hindi nanatiling sarado ang kanyang bibig, kundi nanindigan laban sa pagsasamantala. Ang ating pong opisina sa National Secretariat for Social Action ay kinilala sa kanyang makapropetang pagtugon. Ang mga pangunahing obispo natin, lalo't higit, ay naging mga mistulang bayani sa pagtindig laban sa kapangyarihan ng diktador. At ito'y isang mahalagang legacy ng NASA sa pagtatanggol sa mga naaapi, sa pagsusulong ng katarungan para sa mga mahihirap.
When the armed conflict in Mindanao started to rage from 1971 to 1973, NASSA inquired into the conflict, assisted refugees and channeled funds from Caritas Internationalis. It was also around during the time when floods devastated Central Luzon. That was the start of NASSA's role in relief and rehabilitation. NASA extended aid to Vietnam refugees who fled the bitter war in their country and found home in the Philippines. It also started various community development projects, helped farmers in rural development, promoted people's organizations through community organizing, and uplifted the lives of indigenous peoples. As NASSA's role expanded, so as its network. In 1975, NASSA officially became a member organization of Caritas Internationalis, representing the Philippines to the Worldwide Confederation of Catholic Charities, now headed by our very own His Eminence Luis Antonio Cardinal G. Tagle. NASSA does not approach its social action work as purely economic development. That is why it promoted the integration of social involvement and the work of preaching the gospel. This is the thrust behind its flagship program, Alay Kapwa, the Lenten evangelization and fundraising program of the Catholic Church. Currently, this serves as the emergency fund during calamities and other major social concerns. Eventually, the Philippine Church, through the acts and decrees of the Second Plenary Council of the Philippines, made clear the guiding principles and direction NASSA must take. PCP2 saw the need to strengthen the social action apostolate in every diocese. Thus, in 1998, NASSA dissolved the 3 regional offices in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao and directed its focus to the local engagements of the DSACs. Since the last decade of the 20th century, NASSA implemented programs geared towards the priority sectors identified under PCP2. These are the farmers, fisherfolk, children, women, and disaster-stricken communities.
Sa NASA, yung ating role talaga ay yung action component ng evangelization. So we are helping people, especially yung sinasabi natin, we try to organize people, mobilize people, organize communities, and help transforming societies. Kasi alam natin na there's something wrong in our society na kailangan natin ng tulong, i-evangelize yung mga tao, cultural, at the same time spiritual, economic, yung sinasabi natin na holistic approach is the legacy of NASA in 50 years. Of course, mayroong ups and downs, pero ito talaga ang trabaho ng NASA. And I think ang simbahan mas nakilala dahil sa kanyang social action. Of course, mayroong iba pang mga apostolate, but itong social action apostolate, mas lalong yung component ng simbahan na social justice program ay mas lalong napanghawakan.
Some of NASA's programs which continue to this day are sustainable agriculture, peace building, human rights and good governance, anti-human trafficking, agrarian reform, HIV/AIDS prevention, empowering women through social enterprise and self-help group or SHEG approach, emergency preparedness and response training, and ecology.
Makaraan ng 50 taon ng NASA sa paglilingkod sa ating simbahan, ngayon ay mayroong mas higit na hamon na ating kinaharap. Mas iba ang konteksto ng maraming mga problema. Dahil sa kasalukuyan, lalo tigit, ang panawagan natin ay huwag paghiwalayin ang issue ng kahirapan sa nangyayaring pagkasira ng kalikasan. Ang sabi nga ng ating kasalukuyang Papa, si Pope Francis, na ang iyak ng mahihirap ay hindi kailanman ihiwalay sa iyak ng nasisirang kalikasan. The cry of the earth is the cry of the poor. Kaya nga ang isyong pangkalikasan, climate change, mining, coal, ang lahat ng ito ay hindi dapat mahiwalay sa isyu ng kahirapan. Kaya dapat nating tingnan na ang pagkasira ng kalikasan ay nagbibigay at nagdudulot ng ibayong kahirapan sa ating mga mamamayan.
NASA also has led various relief and rehabilitation responses to disaster-stricken communities, such as those affected by the Bohol earthquake, Typhoon Glenda, Typhoon Pablo, and Super Typhoon Yolanda, which is one of the world's strongest typhoons to make landfall.
Actually, patapos na ako yun sa NASA nung dumating yung Yolanda. No, kaya na-extend lang ng konti ng mga 6 months ang aking role dahil sa Yolanda. So una po ay hindi inaasahan ang ganong kalakas na bagyo, no, at ganong kalaking distraction. Although bago dumating ang Yolanda, nagkaroon na ng karanasan tungkol sa Pablo, tungkol sa Sendong, no, dalawang malakas na bagyo sa Mindanao.
Leaving a trail of destruction in at least 9 provinces, NASA headed the church's most massive rehabilitation program called Reach Philippines. In a span of 2 years, NASA, together with the Caritas network, has already reached 1.8 million people affected by Yolanda with funds amounting to 3.2 billion pesos.
It is not only we are putting up houses, but we are creating homes. I mean, houses speak of structures, but home speaks of relationship. And that is what we are trying to advocate, that NASA tries to help build or rebuild the lives of people and let them live a life of meaningful relationship with God and with one another, or with the community and with the church, of course. I would like to see NASA as an expression of the church's desire to reach out to all peoples, and reaching out that springs from the heart. In other words, it is a reaching out in compassion and mercy from the heart of the church.
NASA also supported a number of advocacies such as anti-political dynasty, Bangsamoro entity, anti-mining, right to food, and climate change. The National Social Action also established the BEC Development Center in Tagaytay, supporting its programs, advocacies, and campaigns. This 2016, NASA is embracing a new chapter in history. We now call ourselves as NASA Caritas Philippines. Through the gains and pains of the past 50 years, steadfastly journeying with the people while proclaiming the gospel.
The work of NASA, not only on the national level, but also on the local level, through the social action centers of the dioceses, speak to us about the vitality that God shares with us. And I congratulate the people who have promoted and have devoted their lives to the ministry, the mission of NASA these past 50 years. You may not realize it, but you have been doing a very holy action. You are promoting God's love and mercy and compassion. It is not just work. It is something holy. You probably are the holiest people on this earth right now for doing the work of God.
NASA Caritas Philippines, celebrating 50 years as the heart of the Church of the Poor.